Hey, everybody, and welcome to our 12th, 13th. I don't know if we got the timing right.
Plus we've got all the ones at EC, so it totally throws the number off.
Right? Oh, that's right, because
so
we weren't ordinal on this. Anyway, welcome to our Skype meeting broadcast for today. This is March the 25th.
Yep, and I am Sean Wilson. I am joined by my colleague.
I'm Jamie Stark.
Excellent. And we're here today to talk to you about all things Office 365 goodness. But this is the first time that I'm going to do this as our very first thing. Don't forget about Bing Pulse.
Oh, very good. Oh my God. Yeah, we always have this joke where we've got a colleague who's kind of sitting in the back who helps us out, feeding questions, bringing the Bing Pulse stuff in, and many times we just jump in and we're just like, okay, we're gonna start talking, demoing, whatever, and then 15 minutes in, they're sending us flaming IMs, going, please, you gotta remember the Bing Pulse. So This is important because we want to get some information from folks that are there. We want to know if this is valuable or not. We want to know, what's kind of going on with your deployments, that sort of thing. And honestly, I was pretty stunned at Enterprise Connect 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago? God, I feel longer.
4? I don't know.
I had more than one person come up. In one case, it was a group of folks come up and they're like, hey, we've been watching your broadcasts. They're really great. You should keep doing it. And it was a little stunning because, well, I mean, we know that there's folks out there, but at the same time, just to have somebody extemporaneously come up and say, hey, this thing's good, that felt really good.
It did. Actually, it was really interesting. Was at Enterprise Connect, I was sitting there talking, and we actually did our sessions there, and we did 3, one in the middle where they lost entire network connectivity for the entire Gaylord property. So if you ever watched the second EC for a total of 3 minutes with John Hoyer, I apologize. We will be bringing him back. He actually wants to do another.
Oh, yay! Awesome.
But the other thing I just wanted to say as well is there is a Q&A manager there. We did do Q&A manager during the last one. It is in tech preview, so we did have some technical challenges with it, but we did get all the questions. We did answer most of the questions that were on there. So once I actually post that episode up to YouTube and Yammer, I'll also include some of the questions answered at the end.
Awesome. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Hey, so we're back. We're 2 weeks back. What have you been working on? You caught up on email?
No, not at all. Oh my goodness, it's been pretty great actually. Right after Enterprise Connect, we had a series of meetings here in the kind of Redmond area, in Bellevue specifically. That's around bringing our partners in and having more kind of in-depth conversations with them about how the business is going and what we're doing right and what's coming up. And these are our partner advisory councils. And so I got a chance to hang out for a day, talking through both the group that looks after Office 365, the kind of Office 365 partners, and then the specific group of Skype for Business partners as well. And so got to tell them about a little bit of recap of the roadmap, what we have working on, what's landing well in the field, what's not, that sort of stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. And you have you caught up on mail yet?
It took me a week to get through mail, and then I realized I got through the week of mail that was from Enterprise Connect, and so now I'm still a week behind on mail. But a lot of the stuff I've actually been working a lot, talking with our analysts after EC. Right?
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that kind of tied into this is we're going to talk a little bit about Office 365 Skype for Business Online and some of the things that we don't really talk about a lot, right? We tend to focus on really cool new features. And sometimes we don't always get to the back end stuff that I think people really want to see. So today, just to let you know, you get to see Jamie Stark demo live.
Well, it's funny that you say that. And actually, as we're talking here, we have the way that we do the demos. Just a little bit of sausage making here in the background of these broadcasts. The way that we do demos is that we have the workstation connected, and its video out goes into another workstation's video in, and then that's treated as a camera. You do that with an HDMI capture card, right? So my workstation's video is going into Sean's workstation, but I can see up on our monitor that every time I move, the connection just fizzles a little bit, and so we're to see. We're to see how well.
I'm betting it has something to do with your DisplayPort adapter that has been abused for the last 3 years, right?
I can't wait for my refresh. It's so close.
So you figured out what you're getting?
Oh, I'm 90% on a Surface Book. I'm 90% there on a Surface Book. There's a couple things, human factor wise, I gotta get through. I have used Lenovo's for I don't know 15 years now, and so there's something, I don't know, the brand loyalty is one thing, but I don't know, there's something about them that I'm gonna get through. But yeah, I'm 90% on the Surface Book. Anyway,
yes,
here's the thing. When we talk about, I completely agree with you. When we talk about Office 365, a lot of times we end up in these conversations about kind of features and capabilities, and a lot of times we're talking with existing customers, and so there's a dimension there of what are the things that you're doing today on premises, and how are those reflected in the cloud? Are they the same? Are they slightly different? Are we still working on it? What's the transition path? What are all those kinds of things? And I think for this episode, I just wanted to start by stepping back a little bit and going, kind of what are the things about our cloud that are unique and different, and how is it that we're now building a global communications cloud that I think is fundamentally different from what you've seen out in the rest of the marketplace first, and then secondly, like how are we standing behind that?
Yeah. So that's actually a great segue into the pieces that we're going to talk about. But one of the things that really, the theme that I heard at Enterprise Connect and talking with different people is if there was a new form of the Chinese year this year, it would be the year of the cloud. Because it is the conversation that people are having everywhere. It is the fact that it is the year of the cloud in conversations about communication, productivity, and it is pretty much dominated a lot of the tech talk out there. And one of the things that was brought up was actually that we actually were. One of the things that was brought up to me was, and we've seen this actually through a couple of blog posts, is, hey, make sure that if somebody's talking about a cloud, that it's truly a cloud and not just they put their stuff up available via the internet. And the reason that I talk about that is, Microsoft is one of the 3 hyperscale clouds. Jamie, do you know what hyperscale is?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's kind of amazing here is that we're thinking about cloud in dimensions that are really, I think, unprecedented in the industry. Just with respect to the level of investment that we're making, and with respect to how we're thinking about it at all the different levels. Like, and it can be confusing, I think, for customers, because they'll hear some folks talk about, oh, well, we can run this software on premises, or we can run the software up in the cloud as kind of an infrastructure as a service. You can go and run VMs up on our cloud. Or they say, oh, well, you can go and build on our cloud as a platform as a service. Yes. Of course, we do those things in Azure.
Yeah.
Right. But I think what gets really interesting is when you start to think about the kind of economies of scale and the capabilities that we could bring in when we're actually packaging it as software as a service, which is Office 365.
Well, and let's talk. I'm gonna back this to even more fundamentals, and that is that it's a purpose-built cloud, and what that means is that it's actually built to run our software. It's not built to run somebody else's software on our infrastructure. But more importantly to that is that because the Microsoft scale by hyperscale means that we can scale up and down. Think of this broadcast, for example, or any broadcast. We can go to thousands of people, fire it up for an hour. We're using the processing cores for thousands of people to view this. And then at the end of this, they go back into that scalable pool that would be cost prohibitive for any company to do.
Absolutely.
And in addition to that, it also gives the ability for companies to add and remove capacity as they need to. Think of seasonal, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You think of it in a very different sense. I was just in a conversation with an analyst, and he's like, if you think of it from seasonal, you think of at the holiday season, Pottery Barn and UPS hire seasonal people to help with that extra capacity they need for shopping. Well, it's the same concept within our cloud. We have the ability to do that capacity at any point. But we also have that global presence, right? I don't know if you know, do you know that we have over 1.4 million miles of fiber within the Microsoft network?
It's just amazing, right? It's just phenomenal to think about the level of investment. That's the one stat I like a lot, and then the other one is the number of cores, 1.2 million CPU cores to be able to to really take advantage of for things like broadcast and as you saw in Zig's keynote, Enterprise Connect, to be able to take the broadcast and then turn it into automatically behind the scenes a bunch of different languages simultaneously,
which really ties into that next piece, which is our intelligent cloud, right?
Exactly.
It's funny when we first saw Translator come out within Skype. Do you remember when we did the first Skype translator and we listened to Satya talk about when you teach it Mandarin, it becomes better at Spanish.
Yep.
And that's all about the machine learning elements. And the fact is, Microsoft's big data insights that we have more data between Bing and Outlook, Xbox, Office 365, Azure. We have more information than we've had in. And by the way, Jamie's playing with his camera right now, and so it's completely distracting. But one of the things that does with that data is it gives us the ability to have insights to really do work that we can't do elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things also I kind of wanted to touch on is really that you've got a lot of people out there that say that they're cloud providers and that they provide communications in the cloud or productivity or whatever it might be. But one of the things in this that we're dealing with and we're very aware of in this this society where security and privacy is, these are not things that our grandparents feared, right? Like, there's a thing going around and it says, hey, here's a picture of your grandmother from 90 years ago. And the difference was it was a beautiful photograph, but in 2090 that picture is going to be some Instagram photo, right?
Yep.
So the fact is that the things around security and privacy and trust are really key. And so underneath this whole premise around the Skype for Business Online and Office 365 is that
the reason that Sean broke up there is because of what's happening on the Bing Pulse. I really got to hand it to Paul for keeping our audience engaged in multiple ways, in addition to our spirited conversation.
So 75% of people actually miss my beard. Thank you. It is summer. It will come back next winter. Right? But one of the things, or spring, I guess. So one of the things that was interesting, and Paul put this up there, he tells me, is we talk about this acronym HIT, and it's really about hyperscale, intelligent, and trusted. And those are the three core pillars that we really bolster our cloud behind. That is a differentiator. Our customers can't, or our competitors can't claim the same elements, right?
So hyperscale, so massive scale in physical resources, massive scale in connectivity, massive scale in distributing services around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligent, actually taking those core services and then applying on top of them a fabric or a substrate that allows us to really extract meaning from your conversations, to be able to do much more interesting things on this kind of sea of data that exists.
And
right?
even more than that is in that intelligence is actually the other layer. That's the data in those, but also is the network, right? The intelligent routing and the media management that we do through global media relays and things like that really get you onto the network as soon as possible. Right?
Totally. So as you can imagine, we look to push out the edge of our network as close as possible, because once you hop onto our network, you have this kind of amazing transit with the fiber that we've got and with the level of connectivity that we've got. And so this is where we want to have everybody, jumping onto our network, essentially, right on their MPLS ring using ExpressRoute, for example.
Yeah.
Being able to have being able to have your corporate network essentially be an extension of our global network services of what we call GNS.
Yeah. And then
trusted.
And then the other.
And this is what you were getting into just a second ago. Like,
Yeah.
This world is different. We have to really think through, kind of policies and procedures and security and privacy at a global level. And in a lot of cases, those requirements are different, right? Based on jurisdiction or
based on communities, like the government, right, has different restrictions. But another piece to that, though, is, and this is core throughout Office 365 as well as ours, is your data is yours, right? We don't own your data, and so and you own the keys, right? Like, that's so different than out there. And we talked about E5 and customer lockbox and things like that, but what that really means is that we want you to have the control. And so we're not we don't take this lightly. Our certifications between if it's FedRAMP or HIPAA or if it's ISO, right? Those certifications are an ongoing, continual process for us, and so that in its essence is something that you really need to look at, and when you're considering these things, is that you are backed. I mean, the people that are watching this, I am assuming the majority of the people that are behind this are Skype for Business customers, and when they're going to look at this of, hey, I'm going to move to the cloud, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right about now, and making sure that when they do it, that they feel safe, that they've got that. But we're also, remember, we're an extension of your IT, and so we need to give you that control and manageability, which really is a good segue kind of into what you want to talk about.
Exactly, and this is exactly it. Like, so we feel so strongly about the veracity of our cloud and the capabilities that we're bringing here that we stand behind this in a very true, visceral way. That we do this with funds. So we firmly believe that the service level of Office 365 will always be at 3 nines, and if it drops below that, we will pay people.
Yeah.
We will make sure that you get the appropriate service credit for not having the capabilities available, and we define this very specifically. So there's a giant document that you can find that goes through all the different service level agreements for all the different services that Microsoft provides broadly, yep. Right? So that's kind of the biggest chunk. So consumer services and Bing and Skype and everything else. And then there's the business services from Microsoft Online, specifically in Office 365. And then you can dive into specifically what it means for Skype for Business Online. And we were gonna show this. I think my Magewell adapter may have gotten a little bit hot. I'm gonna try to plug it in one more time. But while I give Sean an opportunity to futz. No, don't.
No, I'm not going to yet.
Okay, just keep it there. While I give Sean an opportunity to futz with his side of the connection, I just wanted to kind of talk through these for a little bit. So the SLA for Skype for Business Online, essentially any period of time when end users are unable to see their presence status, conduct instant messaging conversations, or initiate meetings. So that's kind of the first level, is that we expect that you have the ability to sign in and you have the ability to actually transact and do things with Skype for Business Online. So that's the first part of our SLA. The second part then is around PSTN calling and conferencing, where we say any period of time when end users are unable to initiate the PSTN call or unable to dial into a PSTN conference. So we've got these first two kind of pieces that really relate to availability.
Yeah.
That really relate to, do I have the availability to get into these services? Am I actually able to use them? Or is all those kind of pieces end to end operating in the correct way?
Yeah.
And so that right there, we feel really strongly about these pieces. This is public. This is something that we don't shy away from. We're talking about this in a very public webinar. This is something that if you double click on a lot of other folks who are in this space, they don't even go to this level.
Yeah.
Like we actually were trying to do some research on who actually stands behind their service, who actually pay dollars back on their service, and it's crazy to actually try to see there's barely anyone out there who's doing this.
Yeah, and actually to that point is that, when we say that we're going to pay them back, I mean that is something that, we've always heard SLAs. And I don't know if you've ever had to deal with a telecommunications company back in the day when,
I know you have.
I have. I might have actually worked for one. But to actually collect on SLAs, and that is actually very difficult, because it's a matter of how do you actually prove it. And so what Jamie is actually going to show, and I'm actually going to switch over right now. We are going to pray. Jamie, you keep bumping it with your leg. So the problem is he keeps losing the connectivity for this. So we are going to try this one last time, and if it works, excellent. If
we're
not,
just going to blame this all on the new digs here.
Yes.
Although I am literally holding it with my leg. Okay, we're good.
Ready?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay, let's try this. We're going to make this active video. This is a demo. And what I'd like you all to understand is where Jamie is right now is in the Office 365 Admin Center, the admin panel. And what this actually is he's actually going to dive right in and actually show you a really cool tool that's within the Skype for Business tool set for Skype for Business Online.
That's right. So the first thing is that when you sign into the Office 365 admin portal, you see the service health dashboard here. This is always one of the fun things that we're doing anytime we're doing big demos. We always hope that the service health dashboard here is all green, and in this case it is. It's all green. We're looking good.
That's
no
awesome.
issues. Nothing's going on. But of course, if you want to see what's going on with your tenant, there's a set of details in history, and you can see kind of going back on service health for your tenant, and the data center that your tenant's associated with. Now this is all up for Office 365. If you want to dive into Skype for Business, you click there, and I've already kind of brought that up here, and that brings you up into the Skype for Business Admin Center, right?
Yep. So for those of you that are from the server side, this is what we referred to as your admin panel, right? Back in the Link days and Skype for Business admin panel, but for online. And so it has a very similar kind of look and feel, but much simpler, right?
I'm hoping that by the last time that can you switch back to us for a second?
Yep.
I'm hoping that this will be the last time I move. Okay. So there's one thing that I want to get to before we switch back to the demo, and I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed the demo gods are happy with us. So we talked about this SLA for availability of services.
Yes.
We've taken this a step further, and we've said we actually want to have an availability. We want to have an SLA not just for availability. We want to have one for quality. So it's not just that I have signed into Office 365. It's not just that I have brought up Skype for Business, that I'm sending an IM, that I'm joining a meeting. Now we're making a statement around what's the quality of the conversation that I'm having. Now, in order to do this, as you can imagine, Skype for Business, you can make calls and have calls anywhere from a variety of different devices, and as such, a variety of different network topologies, a variety of different endpoints, a variety of different cases here, right?
Yep.
So we've had to make a stand on this and say, how do we want to define this kind of initial set of SLAs that we're going to put out there for media quality? And so what we've said is this is going to be for certain sets of calls that are eligible, and those are calls that are placed on a Skype for Business certified IP phone on wired Ethernet, where the network effects, the packet loss, jitter, or latency of the call was due to a network that's managed by Microsoft, right? So essentially what we're saying is that we will stand behind the quality of all the calls when you have an IP phone that you're making the call from, and that IP phone is on a wire, and the network effects that may happen here are the result of something that's going on with our network, right? Because here's the difficulty. Is the network effect because of the device you're using? Is the network effect because of the wireless? Is the network effect because of something between the radio?
So
right.
Hold on, I want to spin this one off just for a moment, because at Microsoft we actually did our whole wireless recalibrated after we all got our new fancy machines.
Yep.
One of the things that was actually very apparent when that happened was that we were now going from a wireless network that was data centric to one that was now voice centric. And so one of the big pieces there that was interesting was we didn't realize that in some of our buildings, like these open spaces, we had toasters and microwaves sitting right by conference rooms.
Oh boy.
With APs right beside it.
And for those of you that don't know, microwaves are famous for operating in the same frequency spectrum that wireless that can also operate. That's why 5 gig wireless is so nice, because while you're sacrificing a little bit of range at the same amount of power, but you're in a spectrum that no one else is playing with, and so 5 gig is fantastic.
So there was a little segue.
Oh, and it's funny as we're talking here, we're going back and forth on this. So we're going back and forth on getting the demo solid. So as long as I don't move.
Yeah, you every time you move it from your leg, you had your legs crossed, so cross your leg back to the way you were.
No, it's perfect. It's
okay,
good. We're there.
Okay.
All right. So here's the thing. So how do we report on the call on the call? Oh my goodness.
No, it's actually still there.
How do we report on the call quality issues?
So on the call quality issues, one of the key things that we've got is actually a tool that we had on-prem that we've brought online called CQD, Call Quality Dashboard. Now, out of the gates, it comes with canned reports. This is a way for you to look at, it's a way for you to look at a couple things. One, your ability to look at your wired versus wireless calls. And then if you actually upload your subnet locations, you can do inside versus outside based off IP address.
Excellent.
Obviously, the challenge with the cloud, everything's coming from the outside, right? So you need that subnet list to truly do it. And actually, there's so we're going to hopefully publish some stuff on TechNet or on Nextop to actually to show how to do that.
Beauty.
So let's see if we can keep this this thing going. I think we're going to have to actually do it as an after production, and I'll add it to the video on YouTube.
Oh my goodness!
Because I would love to say, Jamie, that you can do your demo, but your thing is not. We're being directed by Paul here to actually do a couple of things. One, don't forget about the pulse and the Q&A. If you have specific questions, it's great. We will be grabbing a quick update at the end of this on Mac. We know you all want to hear about it, but we do need to. We're actually looking for somebody is looking to help us understand that they are actually staying up till the middle of the night to talk to us right now.
No way. So we have greetings from the Russian city of Kurgan. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that wrong.
Kurgan. I don't know.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for staying up with us. So what we wanted to show was within the call quality dashboard in Office 365. If you click through to it, there's a special tab that is specifically designed for showing the voice quality SLA. And if I literally don't move, it is
okay. Don't move. You ready?
I'm ready.
No, it's flashy. It's too bad. Okay, I feel horrible. We will. You know what? We will post edit. We'll do this and capture it and put it into the video. I promise.
Very good. And so the idea here is that what we've done is we've taken the call quality dashboard and we've put a special set of filters on it that specifically filters around the UA, the user agent that's signing into Office 365 and that's participating in these calls. And so if the user agent matches an IP phone, and there's millions of different user agents that show up in Office 365 because it's every different type of device you can imagine, from mobile devices to synthetic transactions that are running in the background, all these different things. We filter all those out. We just keep the IP phones, and then we do a report on that, and then show how many of those calls have poor quality, and then we bring those up here for explicitly for the purpose of being able to show in a given month what's the quality of the calls that have gone through your tenant per that SLA.
And so going back to that, remember I was talking about the CQD online. It helped. The reason we can pull this is because it tells us you can filter it based off user agent. You can filter it based off of inside versus outside or wired or versus wireless, right? So in our case, in this one, we're able to pick up that it's a wired IP phone, right?
Yep.
And so therefore we know within this, and based on QoE data, it's going to set our flag. Oh, I think Jamie's going to try it. He's going to try it. Okay, guys. And
so so this is what I was doing yesterday. Yesterday I was on the tenant. I've got I don't know, half dozen phones in my office, and I was messing around with them and having them all show up. We did actually find a little bit of a bug in this. Right now, not all the IP phone models that operate with Office 365 are going to show up with the SLA. The ones that of course, I move and I touch it, and then it goes sideways. Sorry about the video, guys. Not all the IP phones are working. The ones that are showing up here are IP phones for IP phones that are the Link Phone Edition style endpoints. So those endpoints are showing up. The other ones are in the pipeline. They're on the way. And but just wanted to show you. So you can go through from the Office 365 admin portal, look at the, you can check that out, check out the call quality dashboard, and then within that, look at the voice quality SLA, because that is the way that you have to hold Microsoft accountable to the service that we're delivering here. Now, there's one thing I want to kind of touch on. This is something that we feel super strongly about, and we really wanted to have that voice quality SLA to be available in the service immediately on release. This got released in February because it took us a little bit of time. After we got all the pieces done with Cloud PBX, then we needed to get the pieces with the call quality dashboard up in there, and then we got the SLA kind of baked in. But this is the end. Exactly.
What's the next thing? Like, I mean, come on. Your handle is at no more phones. We keep talking about phones.
That's absolutely right. So we want to expand it a couple different dimensions. We'll want to look and see how we can think through expanding this from wired into wireless. That's a gigantic jump. But a ton of our partners, like Aruba, now part of HP Networking, other folks out there, have done a bunch of work in optimizing media capabilities for Skype for Business, and so we definitely feel like there's a good opportunity for us to get there with really well provisioned wireless. Obviously, we want to be able to do this with workstations as well. How we decide kind of what comes first, I think it's going to be one of those things that we take a lot of the data that we're getting from our users in Office 365, running those heuristics and kind of seeing like, hey, what are the ways that we can understand network topology? What are the ways that we can understand network quality? And then how can we expand that SLA in those couple different dimensions?
Yep.
I think we're a little ways away from the perfect kind of voice quality SLA for a call on a mobile device on 4 or 5G. That's probably a little ways away from here, but again, this is something
that's
something we can do.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. We have not only do we have the ability from the kind of media stack perspective to be able to do this from our endpoints, but also the data to be able to have that analysis in our cloud and the view of the cloud all up for us to be able to intelligently decide how media flows are routed around the world. And that's just that again, no one else it has the ability to play with that combination of resources.
No
one else is having that same level of stand behind our service that we're doing.
So we've got our current SLA, we've got our future SLA, we've got IP phones, but we have something else. We've got a couple things that we really need to touch on. One is something that we talked about. We launched in December.
Yep.
And then in February we brought out the SLA, but really what helps with that transition to the cloud for voice? What's the next step?
Absolutely. So being able to have a transition path to go from your existing kind of telephony environment up to Cloud PBX is something that's been key. Obviously, we've got the ability to port numbers and to do those types of things for folks in the U.S. So they can take their existing numbers and their existing setups and have those ported over into the Microsoft PSTN service. Not everybody has the opportunity to do that, though. Of course, we don't offer the PSTN service around the world yet. That's something that we've got to do kind of serially across countries, one country at a time. Ben at Enterprise Connect, he announced that we're going to have preview for the UK coming up next quarter. Good stuff. But the big thing is how then can customers take their existing trunks, the existing circuit, the existing service, the existing contract, and bring that into Cloud PBX and Office 365. Today, you can do that with cloud connectivity. Any Skype for Business software has cloud connectivity built into it. We implement a topology called on-premises PSTN connectivity. And all that means is I use the software to connect out to the PBX, and I use that same software to connect back to Office 365. So what we've been working on is the Cloud Connector edition of Skype for Business.
Wait. Are you saying, there's another version?
Another version. Skype for Business Cloud Connector edition. And this version, it just takes the essential kind of minimum elements that you need to be able to do that PSTN connectivity, and it packages them together in a single download that we are literally working on getting the download up and running right now. It's not available yet. It's going to be available. We're now, instead of counting months, we're counting weeks for availability. We're working with an ever-growing set of early adopter customers on this. And the feedback that we're getting from the early adopter customers is actually, not only is it helping us out tremendously, but we're able to take some of that feedback and make some really rapid edits and some really rapid enhancements to the product.
Excellent.
So we're taking the time to go and fit all those in, and that is coming up super soon. So when that releases, I actually want to do another broadcast with me and the engineer who's responsible for that, so we can talk through that in some more specific detail.
So before we go to the next topic, there is actually a question that we're wanting to address. And just so you know, Paul is off to the side here. So if you see me laughing, it's because he's putting very interesting topics up in his OneNote. Like the beard is a popular question. I'm not going to read what he's putting on.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So no, this is great. IP phones and Office 365. To that question, 55% of our audience said yes. 37% said that they were planning for it. Wow, that is huge. That is way above and beyond what I had expected to see. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for bringing in that feedback. That is really, really interesting.
That actually ties really closely to this next question from Chris.
Excellent. Can you allow Cisco SIP image phones to connect to Skype for Business like it works in Asterisk? So we don't have to buy all new phones. Really common question. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the way that I think about it. A Cisco device doesn't have the authentication mechanisms, doesn't have the identity mechanisms, and doesn't have the encryption and the security mechanisms to be able to connect in not only to the server, to Skype for Business server, but to connect into Office 365. And so then we're left with a choice, right? Do you either proxy that stuff, and you essentially put a proxy in between that manages all of the, call it, deficiencies of the Cisco IP phone? I mean, I don't mean to be crappy here, but it just wasn't designed to have strong auth. It wasn't designed to have encryption always on. It wasn't designed
because it was designed to talk specifically to a CUCM.
That's right. And have an extension instead of a SIP identity and all this stuff. Yeah. So okay. So you can proxy that stuff, or you can make your core registrar dumb and insecure. And clearly both of those are rough, right? So if you proxy all this stuff, then you've got to have kind of two essentially centers of kind of administration. And that ends up, I think, having some difficulty on the IT Pro side. Customers have done it. We've got some partner products that do this, that'll actually proxy Cisco phones, and then essentially they act as a B2B UA, as a back-to-back user agent. On one side talking to the Cisco phone, on the other side talking to the Skype for Business. That works on premises today. I'm not aware of any of these products working in the cloud.
No.
We're not going to dumb down the cloud, though. We really do think that it's that it's key that folks have an ability, for example, to grab an IP phone, take it to their house, plug it into their home network, and be able to sign into Office 365 with that.
Secure.
Yeah, right.
And trusted.
Exactly.
Right.
Using their AD credentials. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean that's really the core to cloud connectivity, right? Is that you are ensuring not only that you have the availability, excuse me, that it goes exactly and it gets routed efficiently, but more importantly is that it is secure, right? And from top to bottom. And so yeah, why I totally like the way that you've described this, because I think it really it makes the point that to go and bring an IP phone that doesn't bring strong auth into the play is not necessarily the right thing.
No, doesn't make sense.
We are definitely talking long today, but
well, a bunch of that is the daisy chain of cables that we had to try to show off the call quality dashboard. But one very important thing for everybody out there, I have in this book a prepared statement from Mr. Paul Cannon about the Mac, because what Skype for Business broadcast would be without the questions about the Mac. So here's the news that's coming up on Mac. First, there are going to be 3 drops of the Mac client public as a part of the preview. That's right. That's right. There's going to be one that's available to everybody when the thing's actually released. But as part of preview, we have 3 drops that are right now planned in 3 consecutive months. April for meetings, May for instant messaging, presence, contact list, messaging pieces, and then in June, voice. So you can get on this train right now. You have the opportunity to get on and to test out and to give us feedback across all of these different drops of the Mac client. Yeah. And we've seen it. We've been working with it. Paul's got it. It's really good. Cool. You please participate with us.
Feedback is critical. I mean, you think about it. Go back to the days when we used to beta test. Remember, you used to get on the beta runs and you'd want to be part of beta, and you'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait." You remember the dog food tool?
Oh, absolutely.
And we would get daily builds, and you'd be hammering away, and you'd find these bugs. Well, this is an opportunity that it's obviously baked a little bit farther along.
Definitely.
But it gives us an opportunity to truly get that feedback. And that, if you go back to our very first broadcast, which was why do preview, is because your voice and your utilization of this is paramount. I mean, one of the things that we learned in Microsoft is we needed Microsoft IT to dog food early because we needed to be able to pull things at scale. Well, we are one organization. You have nuanced environments, so we need you to be able to provide that input as well.
And that was absolutely critical for Cloud Connector Edition. Like I can talk about that specifically. There were significant things that we found in the early preview trials of Cloud Connector Edition. And I think one of the things that's significantly different about the way that we and our engineering colleagues have been thinking about preview is that we've now planned preview in such a way that we do take in that feedback, and that does actively influence the engineering of the product. Yeah. We have there is work that has absolutely been done as a function of the work that's happened in preview, and as such, it's pushed out the release for a couple of weeks, but we'd much rather be in that position to have a final product that is strong, that has incorporated all the feedback from our preview users, and that's what we're doing with Mac. And so that's why it's staged out in the way that it is. That we have an opportunity to get specific feedback around meetings, and then specific feedback that includes the messaging components, and then specific feedback that includes voice. And so again, you have an opportunity to participate at skypreview.com. Skypreview.com it's your one-stop shop for if you want to get early code and kind of an early sense of what's going on. So whether it's PSTN calling in the UK, the Cloud Connector piece is almost done, so it doesn't make sense.
Some of the that one PSTN locations.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
So with that being said, we should probably wrap up. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I've now got people IMing me saying, "Hey, are you coming to the next meeting?"
So that's a good point. We absolutely, please go back to the Bing Pulse. Please go back to some of the questions there. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to throw those out there. Don't hesitate to as well throw them out on Yammer. So we've been hanging out on Yammer as much as possible. Love you guys' engagement
Feedback.
there.
Yep.
Love your guys' feedback. Please keep that coming on Yammer. Please hit us up on Twitter. And we don't know what the next. We don't quite know what the next broadcast is going to be. The next topic. We think it's going to be BJ coming in here talking about how to get started. But between that, Mac, the Cloud Connector edition, we've got a lot of topics. So we may actually be a little bit more frequent than every other week for the next little bit. We just got a lot of stuff that's coming to fruition now. So and we want to talk about it. And so thanks for joining us as you have all the way from Russia.
Yeah, no, I mean,
thank you.
Really,
Thank
you for staying up on a Friday night, nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think we should call it a day. And thank you. And
absolutely.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.